Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 184 based on novel. So let's start. In Wuyo City, the mercenary regiment has all entered the city. The people followed Xiao Yan and continued to walk towards the city for a long time. They didn't stop until there was a less crowded boundary. The people behind them also stopped and looked at Xiao Yang together. Before the crowd, Xiao Yang turned slowly and looked at Ali. At this time, the latter's face still looked a little trance. He never thought that he could be lucky to save the life of a strong man fighting the emperor. Moreover, the strong man fighting the emperor would still be so powerful. What happened just now makes Alex's spirit in an extremely trance, as if all this was a dream. Ali? Xiao Yang smiled and asked in a tentative tone. Ah! When Alec heard the speech, it was like a person in a dream was suddenly awakened, and then he just returned to normal. As soon as he saw the person in front of him, he immediately woke up, bowed to Xiao Yang and said respectfully, "My lord, I didn't know my identity before. I have offended you. I hope you can forgive me, Brother Ali, you're welcome. I'd better call you as before." Seeing Ali's appearance, Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly and fell with a slight smile. The latter still didn't dare to be careless. After Xiao Yang's repeated persuasion, the latter gradually relaxed his mind. "I didn't expect that Brother Xiao Yang would be a strong 5-star fighting emperor. To tell you the truth, I've seen the strongest people, but it's just the golden dagger of the 4-star fighting emperor. I didn't expect that I was lucky enough to save a strong 5-star fighting emperor. See who dares to say I'm meddling in their affairs in the future." Although he was surprised and shocked by Xiao Yang's strength, he soon laughed with Xiao Yang with his open temperament. Just between the two people laughing, the brother behind them hurried up to them. Feng Lun, who was injured and unconscious, was carried between them. Ali saw this. His smile just showed on his face was rapid convergence. Instead, he was deeply worried. Ali quickly stepped forward, grabbed Feng Lun's palm, and entered the latter's body to quickly check the injury. At this time, Feng Lun's face was extremely white. Although he had swallowed 2 second-order pills just now, the result was not ideal. After all, he was hit hard by a 4-star fighting emperor. This can't be easily recovered by second-order pills alone. If he doesn't do well, Feng Lun may lose his life at any time. Uncle Feng Lun. As the exploration went deeper and deeper, the look on Ali's face really became more and more anxious. His eyebrows were deeply screwed together, almost dripping water. The anxiety in his heart made Ali's breathing become urgent. "It's useless. Headphone's injury is too serious. My pill can't play any role at all. He may." Aside, Fang Ruyan came over with an apology on her pretty face. Although she wanted to say something comforting, she still couldn't say anything when she saw the end. Feng Lun's injury was too serious. He was hit hard by a 4-star fighting emperor. In this state, the probability of surviving is almost negligible. Even with the help of second-order pill, he is unable to recover. A group of mercenaries behind them heard Fang Ruyan's words, and the relaxed atmosphere fell again. Everyone's face showed a deep color of hatred. Ginger. At the thought that Feng Lun was about to leave him forever in front of him, Ali was furious. The breath that had just recovered in his body rose again, and his standing body could not help shaking violently. "Let me see. People are not dead yet. Why are you so sad?" Xiao Yang, who was aware of this, whispered a word. At the same time, a palm was also placed on Ali's shoulder. The huge soul force poured into the latter's body and quickly suppressed the fighting spirit of the riot. As soon as he said this, whether it was Ali, Fang Ruyan on one side, or the people of the mercenary regiment behind him, they all instantly set their eyes on Xiao Yang. If we say who is the only person who can save Feng Lun in the field at the moment, there is no need to say more. Naturally, it is Xiao Yang. At this time, Ali also focused his hope on Xiao Yang. At present, whether Xiao Yang can save Feng Lun or not, it is the only way and the most hopeful possibility. Feeling the people's eyes, Xiao Yang smiled confidently and came to Feng Lun, who was seriously injured and unconscious. As soon as his palm turned over, An emerald green pill the size of a longan appeared in Xiao Yan's palm. This is a third-order healing pill. It has a unique effect on people who are seriously injured. With it, it's not worth mentioning the injury in Feng Lun's body. As early as before, when Ali was still carefully exploring for Feng Lun, Xiao Yang's soul power had already withdrawn from Feng Lun's body. This person also had a comprehensive understanding of the latter's injury. To tell the truth, Xiao Yang really didn't care much about this injury. With the third-order pill on his body, Xiao Yang can recover from his injury by taking any one. Taking out the pill, Xiao Yang took it for Feng Lun without hesitation. In a short moment, under the action of the third-order pill, the vitality of the medicine spread rapidly in Feng Lun's body. The injury in Feng Lun's body also recovered rapidly at an amazing speed. Unconsciously, even his pale face gradually became normal, although the injury had not been completely eliminated, but this alone shocked everyone present. Seeing this, Ali suddenly showed a surprised smile on his face full of the color of hay, while Fang Ruyan, a pair of beautiful eyes, had been looking at Xiao Yang. The moment Xiao Yang took out the pill, Fang Ruyan was sure that Feng Lun would escape this time. The third-order pill, even in their family, can't get much. Xiao Yang in front of him can take out one so calmly just to save an outsider. I can't imagine how rich his inside information is. However, what makes Fang Ruyan feel excited at the moment is not Xiao Yang's pill, but his cultivation of 5-star fighting emperor. Now, their position in Helan City is about to lose. The purpose of her return to the family is to contribute a little to the family to tide over the difficulties for the family. Although she also knew that her accomplishments alone could not change anything, the family was in such a great difficulty. As the eldest lady of the family, Fang Ruyan had to return to the family anyway. Originally, Fang Ruyan's inner feelings were extremely heavy along the way, but until he saw the strength shown by Xiao Yang, Fang Ruyan's desperate heart finally raised a glimmer of vitality. Mr. Xiao Yang, I wonder if I can. No, I'm not interested in things between your two families. Please help yourself. However, before Fang Ruyan's words fell, Xiao Yang quietly rejected them without looking back. The affirmation in the words made Fang Ruyan's pretty face turn white quickly. In any case, she did not expect that before she said her invitation, the other party would first refuse her. Mr. Xiao Yang, I sincerely hope to invite you to help our family through this difficulty. As long as you can help our Fang family through the difficulties, I promise you whatever you want. If you like, I can. At the end of the sentence, Fang Ruyan's pretty white face couldn't help showing a crimson color, and her beautiful eyes were full of hesitation, but in the end, she bit her silver teeth hard and said quickly, If you like, I'd like to be your concubine. I beg Mr. Xiao Yang to do it once. As soon as he said this, Xiao Yang couldn't help being a little stunned. Even Ali, who was close to one side, was shocked by Fang Ruyan's words as soon as his face relaxed. But then, Xiao Yang's face quickly returned to normal. He shook his head firmly and said slowly, I'm sorry. I'm used to traveling around by myself, but I'm not used to it. Miss Fang, I'd better invite another expert. When the words fell, Xiao Yang turned around and walked towards the deserted lane. Fang Ruyan stared at Xiao Yang's back with beautiful eyes. Bay teeth bit her red lips, and her beautiful eyes quickly turned red. After helping Feng Lun's mercenary regiment enter Wuyou City, Xiao Yang also left without stopping. For him, this is just his first stop in the Western Wasteland. What he wants to go to is a more prosperous area. Only there can Xiao Yang see the real strong. When Xiao Yang left, the mercenary team also followed and left here. Fang Ruyan followed the team with a lost face and hesitated in her heart. Judging from Jin Ji's actions, he obviously wants to control her. I'm afraid he wants to use her to threaten the Fang family. If Xiao Yang didn't do it today, the consequences would be terrible. It's a pity that Xiao Yang has left now, and no one can help her anymore. At the same time, on the other side, in a carriage, Feng Lun was still in a coma, but his face had improved significantly. It was not too far from waking up. Beside Feng Lun, Ali finally let go of Feng Lun's injury, but he has been thinking about Xiao Yang in his heart. He is not a fool. From Xiao Yang's previous action, Ali can roughly guess that the people who shook back those warcraft in the Gobi a few days ago I'm afraid Xiao Yang can't be wrong. Thinking of this, Our Lai couldn't help laughing at himself. I thought their team was so lucky that they could avoid the attack of Warcraft repeatedly, but what I didn't expect was that the luck several times was finally given by Xiao Yang. If it weren't for the existence of the latter, I'm afraid even if their mercenary regiment could come here, the number of people alive would not exceed one hand. Suddenly, Ali seemed to think of something. He remembered that before Xiao Yang left, he had stuffed him with a scroll and had never opened it. Now he could have a look while there was no one around and Feng Lun didn't wake up. However, when Ali found that what Xiao Yang gave him was actually a volume of wood skill of spirit level intermediate level, the shock and excitement in the whole person's heart surged into his heart like a volcanic eruption. A volume of spiritual level skills is enough to change his future life path, and Xiao Yang is the one who will change him. Our Lai held the emerald scroll in his hands. Xiao Yang appeared in his mind and kept it firmly in his heart. Shilin Domain. On a mountain not too far from Shahepu, a kind old man in hemp robes is sitting here. The old man played the cultivation formula between his hands, which was the floating of his breath. Between heaven and earth, the energy of heaven and earth seemed to have received orders, thinking that the old man came together. With such slow cultivation, the breath in the old man's body also climbed up at an extremely slow speed. Until a certain moment, the body of the old man with closed eyes trembled slightly, stopped cultivation, his eyelids trembled slightly, and his closed eyes opened to reveal his next pair of cloudy eyes. This person is the leader of the withered leaf sect. The leaves fall into the sky. When he noticed something wrong, he frowned all the way and looked to the west. He vaguely noticed that there seemed to be a person, or a wisp of soul, coming towards him. Who? Yi Luotian was puzzled. From the other party's behavior, it is very likely that he came for himself, but what can he do with a wisp of remnant soul? Help yourself. Yi Luotian had this strange idea in his heart. Looking at the western regions, if someone with a remnant soul took the initiative to find him, I'm afraid he can only ask him for help. After all, Yi Luotian's reputation outside is still very kind. However, as the man gradually approached, Yi Luotian's light frown could not help wrinkling. From the remnant soul, he noticed a trace of familiar breath. Do you know him? Yi Luotian frowned and gently shook his head. In theory, this should not be. The people he knew were powerful and powerful. They were all fighting the emperor. How could they be so embarrassed? However, the fact is that when the remnant soul became closer and closer, Yi Luotian suddenly found that the remnant soul was actually the person of the ghost hall. What happened to this guy? How did he become like this? Aware of this, Yi Luotian was shocked. He still knew something about this guy's strength. In the middle of the 7-star fight emperor, few people in the western regions could be his opponent, but it's really unimaginable that he should look like this. After a while, the man appeared in front of Yi Luotian. Seeing that there was only one remnant soul left in front of him, his body was almost transparent, and it was even difficult to capture the figure of his body. The shock in Yi Luotian's heart became more intense. Isn't this guy going to catch Xiao Yang? But how can he end up like this? Is it Xiao Yang? Yi Luotian thought in shock at the bottom of his heart. At the same time, he pretended to be concerned about the people in front of him. How did you become like this? It's Xiao Yang, that madman. His power is far above me. I underestimate him. Buzz. Hearing the words of the people in front of me, the bottom of my heart all the way was like a huge stone thrown into the calm lake, which set off a storm in a short time. He said that Xiao Yang did all this. How could this be possible? Can the 5-star fighting emperor beat a 7-star fighting emperor like this? But then, when Yi Luotian recalled what had happened in the Shilin Mountains that day, his agitated heart gradually calmed down. Yes, together with the people of the 4 families who are the 5-star fighting emperor, they are not the general of Xiao Yang. His strength has long surpassed his opponents at the same level. If anyone dares to treat him as the 5-star fighting emperor, it will be death. Come on, give me the source of the soul in your ring. My body has been destroyed and the source of the soul has been seriously damaged. Now I must repair it with the source of the soul in your hand. Come on. Not caring so much, the figure hurriedly shouted at Yi Luotian. Hearing the speech, Yi Luotian was expressionless. His eyes swept up and down the almost transparent guy in front of him, and a trace of sarcasm poured into his dark old eyes. Yi Luotian is not polite to the so-called beating a drowning dog with a stick. He still remembers how powerful and arrogant this guy was in front of him. But now that the other party has come to such an end, Yi Luoxiandi naturally doesn't want to save him. Asshole, what are you still staring at? Give me the origin of your soul quickly, or once I report it to the top, you withered leaf sect will never want to dominate the western regions again. The figure roared angrily. When Yi Luotian heard the speech, his face changed slightly. As soon as his palm turned over, a milky white light mass about the size of a basketball appeared in his hand. His palm stretched forward and sent the light mass to the figure. This is the origin of the soul. That's about the same. The figure sneered, the unreal palm stretched forward, and wanted to connect the milky light into his hand. However, at the next moment, the source of the soul in Yi Luotian's palm was suddenly received. Almost at the same time, a terrible suction burst out from the center of Yi Luotian's palm. For a moment, the illusory body of the human shadow was instantly sucked into the palm. The dying man still wants to order our sect again. Should we really be afraid of you? Since you sent it to the door, Benzong will make a breakthrough with your strength. Yi Luotian drank coldly, and his palm suddenly clenched. The illusory soul tightly held in his palm was absorbed into his body and refined crazily. A day later. After leaving Wuyou City, Xiao Yan continued to go west all the way, flying forward aimlessly and slowly. Now that he has made an agreement with the people of the four main gates and will meet outside the Tianjua ancient tomb a year later, Xiao Yang is not so hasty. As Dong Chuan said, Xiao Yang can't open Tianjua ancient tomb just by relying on Tianjua steppe. Instead of wasting his efforts, Xiao Yang thinks it's better to break through in this vast western wasteland. Although Shihuang region is located in desolation, the prosperity here is not worse than that of Shilin region. Even, because of the environment here, the people here seem to be more powerful than those in Shilin region. This can be seen only by the Wuhou city on the periphery of Shihuang region. Wuyou city is just an outer city. There is a strong 4-star fighting emperor in the city. The western wasteland is vast and boundless. It is hard to imagine how powerful the strong there will be in the center of the western wasteland. According to Han Dong, the Herbalist Alliance exists in the western wasteland. With such a huge force, the selected strongholds are all in the western wasteland. It is conceivable that they attach great importance to the western wasteland. After a day's journey, Xiao Yang was helpless to see the vast Gobi in front of him. When he looked at it, he saw a desolate and lonely place. There were no people in 100 miles. Even the mountains he saw were desolate. Sand and stones rolled down, making a clear collision sound, which spread far and wide in the sky. This area can be described as the disappearance of birds in thousands of mountains and the disappearance of people in thousands of paths. The barrenness of the western wasteland is much more serious than Xiao Yang imagined. However, despite this, Xiao Yang's heart is calm. He has long been used to this environment. Xiao Yang went all the way west until noon. In the distance of his sight, a city appeared. However, Xiao Yang didn't mean to stay. What he wanted to go was the place where the real strong gathered. Only there could Xiao Yang find a way to improve his strength. Without stopping, Xiao Yang's body was still flying high above the sky, looking down at the city below, and his eyes showed a touch of admiration. Although this city is not comparable to Wuyou City, its prosperity is still amazing. Moreover, under the exploration of Xiao Yang's soul power, almost everyone in this city is semi-imperial strong, and even there are 4 strong fighting emperors. And just as Xiao Yang's soul power was about to be recovered, a strange breath was detected in his exploration of soul power. With a frown, Xiao Yang's body, which had leaped forward rapidly, stopped. His body was in the air and looked down. In the city below, in a huge other garden, somewhere, at the moment, there were these 3 strong fighters confronting each other. In the courtyard, 2 groups of people stood opposite each other, and the 2 sides became hostile. They all released a strong momentum and authority. They fought against each other over the courtyard and stared at each other. Wang Xiong, you'd better not go too far. Even if you set foot in the 5-star fighting emperor, if you want to swallow our Fang family, you have to see if you have such a big appetite. In the courtyard, before a group of people with their backs to the house, a resolute middle-aged man in brocade robes was staring at the opposite crowd with cold eyes. An old man in gold robe, headed by him, said in a very low tone, "Hey, nephew, you and I have been living together in Helan City for many years. It's also a family friend. Therefore, from this point of view, I don't want to fight you." Hearing the equation, the old man in golden robe smiled faintly, then turned his voice and continued. "However, you should also know that one mountain can't tolerate two tigers. After all, two families can't exist at the same time in Helan City. Now my Wang family is on the rise. Sooner or later, Helan City will no longer have your Fang family status. For your father's sake, I will give you another 3 days. After 3 days, either your Fang family will move or you will return to my Wang family, become the branch of my Wang family. At that time, you can also stay in Helan City. If not, don't blame my Wang family for not thinking about old love." The expression on the face of the old man in the brocade robe gradually became dark. At the same time, with the change of his complexion, his thick breath and pressure also spread out from his body and oppressed the people of the Fang family opposite. Feel the powerful momentum of the old man in the brocade robe. Rao is based on the heart of the equation, and his face can't bear to change. With the strength of the 3-star fighting emperor, there is no comparability in the face of the momentum and pressure of a 5-star fighting emperor. At the same time when the faces of the Fang family changed, an old man in green suddenly snorted and thought. A powerful force belonging to the 4-star fighting emperor surged out of his body, facing Wang Xiong, uniting the momentum of the Fang family behind him. That's what stopped it. Forgive others and forgive others. Wang Xiong, your Wang family is now the largest family in the Dutch city. The Fang family is far inferior to the Wang family, but in that case, why should you be aggressive? The old man in blue took 2 steps forward slowly, because he was under the pressure of the other side, making his every step look very heavy. 2 shallow footprints were left on the flat ground. It can be imagined that the old man in green is resisting what a terrible pressure. However, Rao is so. The expression on the old man's face looks quite firm. No matter what, he will not let the Fang family have an accident, let alone remove the Fang family from Helan City. Yuan Qing, I think you have given you face several times because you are a 4-star fighting emperor. Don't be unkind. This is a matter between the Wang family and the Fang family. As an outsider, you'd better not meddle in your own business. Otherwise, I won't care what power you are. If you don't want to cause trouble for yourself, you'd better leave Helan City. The words in the mouth of the old man in gold robe fell, and his powerful momentum rose again. In a moment, he forced a group of people across from him back for several steps. Even Yuan Qing at this time could not help but show a pale color on his face. This Yuan Qing, the deacon of Yangxianzong, was the one who helped Xiao Yangang when he came to Yuanwu mainland and asked him to present the 9-turn incarnation formula to Xiao Yang. Brother Yu and I are like old friends at first sight. We can't betray our faith for ourselves. Wang Xiong, if your Wang family really wants to annex the Fang family, just come on. With me, even if you Wang Jiao can annex us, you must pay a bleeding price. With a cold voice, Yuan Qing took a step forward, and the body that had just been shaken back quickly gushed out of the body. With his own strength and the people behind him, Wang Xiong's momentum was forcibly shaken back a little. Hearing Yuan Qing's words, Wang Xiong also couldn't help frowning. The Fang family must have stood in Helan City for many years with profound heritage. How could his Wang family know? However, over the years, the relationship between the two families has become worse and worse. Now it has reached the point of water and fire. There will be a decline in the Fang and Wang families in Helan City. If it weren't for the people in front of them, I'm afraid the Fang family would have become a part of his Wang family a few years ago. However, although Yuan Qing in front of him once again stopped him, now that Wang Xiong will personally come to Fang's house, he naturally has an inevitable certainty. 3 days, I'll give you 3 more days. If you don't want to leave Helan City after 3 days, don't blame my men for being merciless. Wang Xiong gave a cold drink, and then turned around. He took his family and swaggered towards the way he came. When the person in front of him left, Yuanqing in the courtyard turned pale and stepped back a few steps. With the help of the equation, he stood straight. "Brother Yuanqing, are you okay?" Equation looked at Yuanqing with worry, and his face showed a deep apology. If it weren't for his family, Yuanqing would never have ended up like this. "I'm fine. I'm just stunned by the guy's momentum. I'll be fine if I have a rest." Hearing the speech, Yuanqing shook his head with a bitter smile, but he was extremely nervous. In the face of the strong 5-star fighting emperor, his winning rate was still too low. Although the equation on one side was also a 3-star fighting emperor, the current owner of the Wang family, Wang Zhenyu, was also a 3-star fighting emperor. Compared with the Fang family, the Wang family was obviously better than the Fang family. Once the two sides fight, the whole war situation will fall to the Wang family, and the Fang family is afraid to die in this Helan city. Alas, 3 days, 3 days. Can't his Wang family accommodate our Fang family? In the courtyard, there was a hot sun on his head, and the warm sun sprinkled on his face, but he could not feel the burning of Dingdian. On the contrary, in his heart, it was cold. "Will brother you leave Helan city?" Yuanqing gasped slightly and stared at the equation. There was a sense of reluctance in a pair of old eyes. The equation shook his head slowly and said firmly, "Helan city is the foundation of our Fang family. My grandparents have worked here for hundreds of years. No matter what happens to me, the root of the Fang family will not be broken." Hearing this, Yuanqing nodded firmly with a determined tone. "In that case, let me guard here with brother Yu. Even if I die, I must make the Wang family regret what they did that day." At this point, the equation nodded heavily and stared at Yuanqing in front of him. When they were about to speak, the expression on their faces also changed sharply. Then, they suddenly looked up and looked at the sky directly above. There, a figure was approaching them at a very fast speed. Enemy attack. For a moment, they thought of the word almost at the same time. Then, the two eyes quickly touched for a moment, and then their bodies suddenly flashed. They swept up into the air, circling and attacking the figure. Distraction palm. Wutong print. With one palm and one seal, they attacked the black-robed figure who could not see his face. You can't bear any blow to the situation of the Fang family. No matter who the other party is today, you can't let him run wild in the Fang family. In the face of the two men's sudden attack, the face of the figure under the black robe could not help showing a look of surprise. At the moment, I couldn't help saying that the wrists of both hands rotated, and the surging fighting spirit gushed out of the palm, one palm on the left and one palm on the right, taking over the attack of the two men in front of me. Bang! With a deep bang, the fighting skills of Yuanqing equation and Yuanqing equation were like hitting soft cotton. They sank deeply, but they didn't bring the slightest abnormal fluctuation. What? Aware that their fighting skills were so easily resolved by the people in front of them, they immediately set off a storm in their hearts. It's so easy to dissolve the fighting skills of the two strong fighting emperors. I'm afraid his strength should be at least in the 5-star fighting emperor. This man is another 5-star fighter. At the thought of this, the heart of the equation suddenly sank. Can it be said that heaven is going to kill his Fang's family? Yuanqing is the same as the mood in his heart. Naturally, he didn't expect that this person would be a 5-star fighting emperor. Once this person joins hands with the Wang family, they won't even have the chance to resist. However, just when they were shocked, a helpless wry smile appeared on a young face under the black robe. Xiao Yan didn't expect to meet Yuanqing here. To his surprise, the strength of the latter has also reached the level of 4-star fighting the emperor. Even compared with him, who was promoted to today's cultivation by different fire, there is not much difference. You know, the original Yuanqing seems to be only a 3-star half-emperor. Of course, now is not the time to remember the beginning. We should first solve the two people who misunderstood him. Then, when the two people around him recovered, Xiao Yang loosened his palm, and then suddenly grabbed their wrists. Suddenly, his terrible strength poured out, waved his arms together, and sent them back to the courtyard below. Taking advantage of the two people's great surprise, Xiao Yang immediately showed his great step and came to Yuanqing. At the same time, a slightly joking laughter also came out. Hehe, brother Yuanqing, I haven't seen you for many years. It's not like to greet you as soon as you meet. As Xiao Yang's light laughter fell, the two people in front of him also quickly returned to their senses. They were shocked, and the fighting spirit in their body poured out madly, staring at Xiao Yang with dignified eyes. Yuanqing on one side was stunned at the moment when Xiao Yang's words fell. His eyes raised, and a pair of Shijian were fixed on Xiao Yang in an instant. When he saw the latter's Qingjun familiar face, the whole person was immediately fixed in place like a sculpture, and the expression on an old face was also solidified. Until a long time later, when the equation on the side was ready to unite the family to attack Xiao Yang, the look on Yuanqing's face turned into excitement, his body could not help shaking, and an ecstatic smile appeared on his face. In the stunned eyes of the people behind him, he stepped forward and bowed to Xiao Yang. Mr. Xiao Yang, long time no see. In the courtyard, Yuanqing stood in front of Xiao Yang with tears on his face and bowed to the latter. The respectful color in his eyes was even more surprising. Is this young man in black also from Yangxianzong, where Yuanqing is located? Behind Yuanqing, he couldn't help looking at the two people in front of him. Especially when he looked at Xiao Yang, his heart gradually climbed to a shock. I thought that the five-star fighting emperor should be an old man who looks similar to Wang Xiong, but I didn't expect that it would be such a young man. Coupled with Yuanqing's respectful attitude towards Xiao Yang at the moment, it makes the equation mistakenly think that the black-robed youth in front of us is the person of Yangxianzong. Hehe, brother Yuanqing, why do you have to do this? Don't you break my life by doing so. Seeing Yuanqing in front of him coming up with such a big gift, Xiao Yang was stunned. Then he hurried forward and helped him up in person. Mr. Xiao Yang joked. You saved my old life at the beginning. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid my old bone would have died in the southern region. How could I have the opportunity to meet you here today? While surprised at Xiao Yang's strength, Yuanqing respectfully hugged Xiao Yang. Then, the equation behind him came up to Yuanqing and asked the latter in a low voice. Brother Yuanqing, he is also one of you Yangxianzong? No, Mr. Xiao Yang is not from Yangxianzong. Yuanqing shook his head and denied the guess of the equation. Oh! Equation eyebrows a pick, neither Cloud Shenzong people, Xiao Yang actually has such strength, can really make people feel very surprised. But Mr. Xiao Yang is my life-saving benefactor. Now my Yuanqing can have today's cultivation, thanks to Mr. Xiao Yang. Yuanqing once again hugged Xiao Yang and bowed his hands. The respectful meaning in the words surprised him. Do you remember I told you that I came to the western regions to find someone? Is that the gentleman you're talking about? He raised his eyebrows and said in surprise. As early as the beginning, Yuanqing told him that the reason why he came to the western regions was to find a person. In recent years, he has been in the western wilderness. All parties have been looking for that person in order to find that person, but he has not disclosed the latter's name to him. But what he didn't expect was that the person who could make a 4-star fighting emperor so pursue would be such a young black-robed youth. Hehe, since we are all our own people, we'd better sit down and talk first. Although he was surprised at the origin of Xiao Yang in front of him, since the other party was a 5-star fighting emperor and just met Yuanqing, from this point of view, if the young people in front of him could stay, they would not be afraid of the Wang family in 3 days. A 5-star fighting emperor, plus a 4-star fighting emperor and a 3-star fighting emperor, only in terms of the number of strong fighting emperors, the Fang family is one more than the Wang family. In this way, the Wang family's idea of annexing other Fang families is bound to fail. Thinking of this, I felt a burst of surprise in my heart. At the same time, when facing Xiao Yang, the smile on my face was more brilliant. I unconsciously exposed Gong Jin's smile to the latter. Even when I spoke, I had to lower my tone. Then, under the guidance of the equation, several people entered the hall. The 3 people sat randomly. Immediately, a domestic servant served tea for the 3 people. Xiao Yang was unaware of this. He talked and laughed with Yuanqing and talked about their situation in recent years. The equation looked at the 2 people in front of them with a look of sigh. I only hope that the 2 people can talk for a longer time. It's best to keep Xiao Yang. This is a great help to their Fang family. However, just as they were talking and laughing, the servants outside suddenly broke in, came to the equation and said respectfully, "Master, the eldest lady is back." As soon as he said this, Xiao Yang was slightly stunned, while Equation and Yuan Qing looked at each other, and a smile quickly appeared on their faces. Equation Chang breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "This girl, along the way, I'm afraid that the king's group of turtle grandsons will make some bad moves, but fortunately, now it seems that nothing has happened to this girl." Yuan Qing also smiled and nodded. As for Xiao Yang, after hearing the so-called big miss, he remembered that he had inadvertently come to Helan City, and the Fang family where he is now is the family where Fang Ruyan is. "I think I didn't want to help her a day ago, but now I appear in the other party's family. It's really funny. I don't know what expression Fang Ruyan will show when she sees herself later." A short moment later, outside the hall, a girl hurried in. At first glance, she saw the Equation and Yuan Qing in the hall, even when she saluted them respectfully. "Father, Uncle Yuan Qing, Ruyan is back." Hearing Fang Ruyan's words, the two elders in front of them also smiled and nodded. Equation's eyes showed a doting look and smiled. Well, it's good to be back. You don't know that we're worried about you all the way. We're afraid that the sundries of the Wang family will block you on the way, but fortunately, our worry is superfluous, ha. Father, your worry is not superfluous, but your daughter is lucky to be saved by an expert, so she can return to the family unharmed, otherwise now. At the end of the sentence, Fang Ruyan looked dignified and lowered her head. Unexpectedly, the Fang family had united the Jinj of Wuyou City. Once they joined hands, it would undoubtedly be a devastating blow to their Fang family. Then, in front of them, Fang Ruyan told them everything about the day before. What? That Jinj was also attracted by the Wang family. Once their two families join hands, we alone will not be rivals. Yuan Qing looked at the Equation with a gloomy face. On the latter's face, the expression was also extremely gloomy. Even in one eye, there was a trace of killing intention. Fang Ruyan's most precious daughter, who dares to touch her, is undoubtedly looking for death. No matter who the other party is, he has labeled him a mortal in his heart. In that case, as for the adult, you can't just leave if someone saved you. If you can, you'd better try to let him help our Fang family. No matter how much it costs, we must also get his help. Then, the Equation noticed the 5-star fighting emperor mentioned in his daughter's words. It was because of his appearance that Fang Ruyan could turn the crisis into safety. Hearing his father's words, Fang Ruyan shook her head reluctantly, raised her eyes, swept over the two people in front of her, and wanted to speak. But then, a pair of smart beautiful eyes suddenly saw a black-robed figure sitting on the side of the hall and blocked by Yuan Qing. When Fang Ruyan saw half of the face of the black-robed man Qingjun, the girl was stunned in place like a sculpture. A pair of beautiful eyes stared at the latter, and the jade hand slowly trembled and raised to point to Xiao Yang. He. How did he? Hearing Fang Ruyan's words, the Equation immediately frowned. Xiao Yang is now a very important guest for their Fang family. Once Fang Ruyan's attitude provokes him, it will harm the Fang family. However, just as the Equation was preparing for the other party's order, Xiao Yang in black shrugged helplessly, got up from his seat, looked at the latter with an innocent expression and said with a smile, "Miss Fang, we meet again." This video will end here.